Okay, so you know how fast food chains give out toys with their kids' meals? They might either be an action figure or a toy car, but back in the day, they used to have actual video games that came as the kids' meal toy. Like, these were full-on video game discs that you could play. It was pretty cool. I specifically remember this one game I got with my Fil A meal as a kid that I was like obsessed with. I forgot about it for so long and I don't even know what happened to it, but after a lot of digging, I finally found it online, along with a bunch of other kids meal games that I'm going to be playing, starting with the most iconic kids meal, the Happy Meal. In 2006, McDonald's gave out a video game disc for the computer called Go Ronald. It was part of a promotion that capitalized on the 2006 Olympics, and okay, well, it's pretty bad. First of all, whenever you boot up the game, they ask if you can turn on your microphone. Yeah, that's kind of a red flag. Also, Ronald is really creepy in this game. I would definitely be scared of him as a kid. Anyway, the game, it's pretty horrible. There's 2 game modes. They're not that fun. That's pretty much the whole game. But don't worry, because there's actually some decent games on this list, like the one from the next restaurant, Wendy's. Not nearly as iconic as the Happy Meal, but they did have some banger kids meal toys. And in 2006, one of them was Pets Dogs. They also had Pets Cats, but I mean, dogs are just better. Unlike the last game, this one was actually an already established game franchise dating back to 1995. And I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this game was made exclusively for this Wendy's kids meal though, because I looked everywhere and could not find a version of this game that doesn't have this little Wendy's kids meal logo. The closest thing I could find was this DS and Game Boy Advance game, but it's just dogs, not Pets Dogs. So I'm pretty sure it's a different game, I think. I honestly have no clue. There's just so many versions of this game. Like, there's also a Pets Dogs 2. So I guess this Wendy's kids meal game did well enough to get a console sequel, which is kind of crazy. All right, I'm finally done yapping. Let's just play the game. Okay, here we go. Wait, no, this can't be it, right? I mean, yeah, it says it. Okay. All right, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll buy it. First up in the game, you get to select your breed. I went with the Maine Coon, and we're gonna name him Mike. Once I adopted Mike, I started petting him, and he was loving it. We played some fetch, and he was doing so good, so I gave him some treats. A little bit later, he actually learned how to speak. This is one of the 5 tricks that I need to teach Mike so that he can enter the talent show, because I want to get enough money to buy him the green mohawk. And you can make money from winning the talent show. The next trick I got him to do was paw. Then I was teaching him to sit, and he just dropped an absolute bomb on the floor.
What the glob, Mike? No dumpy one piece on the floor. Bad kitty. No.
I finally got him to sit, lie down, and walk around, and after that, he was ready for the talent show. Our competitors, Prince, Duchess, and Killer, which is a crazy name for a cat, by the way.
Yo, what up? It's Killer. Meow.
The first round, perform paw and speak in order within 40 seconds. Mike crushed it. Round 2 was grooming, and he got 8 points since luckily I gave him a bath earlier. The last round was freestyle, and I just had to get him to do as many tricks as possible. And I'm not gonna lie, Mike was kind of selling this one because he only got 5 points. Nonetheless though, Mike still took home the dub. I did a couple more talent shows and finally had enough to buy Mike the green mohawk. He looked stunning. So I said goodbye to Mike and logged off.
Wait, Globber, please don't leave me. Each minute you're gone is an eternity where I live. I'm gonna be trapped here forever. Please don't go. No, don't.
Next up, Taco Bell. Taco Bell actually used to have a kids meal, but in 2013 it was discontinued. However, 13 years prior, one of the toys they gave out in their kids meals was a video game. Rather than a CD like the other games, this one is actually a floppy disk. When they gave these out with the kids meals, they actually had 3 that you could get: Tasty Temple Challenge, Moon Eater, and Jumping Bean Jamboree. The one I played is Tasty Temple Challenge. In the game, you go around trying to find your way out of this maze to find the Grande Taco Bell meal, while defending yourself from snakes and scorpions that chase you around, and you can attack them by throwing packets of hot sauce at them. Taco Bell branded hot sauce, I should add. And you can restore your health by collecting chalupas. Yeah, this game is basically a walking advertisement for Taco Bell. I'm not gonna lie though, as far as the atmosphere goes, it was actually kind of scary. Like, it has a really eerie vibe, and I would be pretty scared to play this as a kid probably. But yeah, the game is alright. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's pretty decent. I actually didn't even get to finish it because it's pretty buggy and I kept going through walls and couldn't kill enemies anymore. Nonetheless though, it's acceptable. So while Tasty Temple was a pretty alright game, it wasn't the only video game they gave out in kids meals at Taco Bell, because in 2010 they teamed up with My Sims to give out a Taco Bell edition of the game for PC. Yeah, the entire game on a disc they just gave out in kids meals, and it wasn't like a demo either. Like, this was the full-on game. There's actually a version of My Sims for the DS, the Wii, and PC. I actually don't know if there's any differences between this Taco Bell edition and the regular game. All I know is that there's a Taco Bell logo on the disc that the regular PC version doesn't have, but we're gonna find out if that's the only difference between the two. Whenever I started the game, it showed me a little preview of what the game is. I never heard of My Sims before, but it seemed like this is a cross between The Sims and Animal Crossing. So I started a new game, and the first thing you get to do is name your town. I went with the obvious choice of Glob City. After that, I got a little story from the mayor about Glob City. Basically, it used to be popping off with a ton of people that lived here, but then one day, the famous builder of Glob City mysteriously left, and after that, Sims started to move away. But a new builder is coming to Glob City, and that's where we come in. So time to create a character before moving into Glob City. I went through a bunch of different outfits before settling on this little guy, which I named Evil Globbert. Now we've made it to Glob City. I met up with the mayor.
Well, if it isn't Evil Globbert, welcome to Glob City. We're so glad you decided to come here and help rebuild the town.
She had me follow her to my house. It turns out they didn't even have a house for me, so I just had to build it myself.
Epic building montage.
After spending way too much time, this is Evil Globbert's house. After I got moved in, I decided to say hi to my neighbor. I washed my hands like a good guest, and then we had a great conversation.
Yo, Evil Globbert, I love apples.
I went back to the mayor, who told me they built a workshop for me. She took me to it, and oh, I guess she was lying about that one too. So I had to build my own workshop. Once that was finished, the mayor told me to build a podium for her, so I got to work. Next, I had to build a bed for Poppy, who runs the flower shop in Glob City. Once I did that, she told me that Glob City has been rated a 1-star town. But 1 star isn't good enough for me. So the goal, get Glob City to a 3-star rating. And you might be asking, well, why not 5 stars? Well, simply put, because 3 is good enough. The first objective on our mission to 3 stars, go to the hotel and see if Glob City has any visitors. Well, good news, there's a chef in town. Chef Gino.
Ciao Evil Globbert, I'm Chef Gino. If you build me a restaurant, I can bring my world famous pizza to your town.
Alright, Glob City is getting its first upgrade, a pizza restaurant. I built the restaurant and Chef Gino moved right in. To celebrate, we tickled each other.
Ticky.
I went back to the hotel and met DJ Candy, who I built a club for because I knew that would bring a ton of people into Glob City. I built some stuff for the club, and before I knew it, Glob City had a 2-star rating. This gave me access to the saw, which I used to cut this tree trunk that was in the way, and behind it was a huge area for Glob City to expand. But first, I had to fill out the main area of the town. I built a museum for Sir Vincent Skullfinder. I went to the train station to visit someone else's island, but yeah, I guess this game's servers got shut down 13 years ago. Glob City was definitely growing in popularity. There were a ton of people visiting. I moved in Gordon, Rhonda, built an arcade for Vic Vector, and that finally got Glob City to 3 stars. I had to celebrate this achievement, so I went around town hanging out with all the Sims. I had a tea party with the girls. Danced at the club. Had a picnic with the mayor. Performed some sort of ritual with Violet, and finally had one last dance session before logging off. A few years before My Sims, Taco Bell had another video game in their kids' meals called 3D Ultra Mini Golf Adventures. Just like My Sims, this one came from an already established game franchise published by Activision. There were 4 different discs that you could get: Space, Lost Island, Carnival, and Wild West. These were basically demo discs given out to promote the main game, which included all of these maps plus more. So let's start with Space. You get to choose between 4 different characters. I went with Joe. My goal for this game, don't get last place. Okay, this game is actually pretty difficult. The first hole took me 9 strokes, and it was par 4. I was already in last place, so Not a great start. The next 2 holes I did pretty badly, so I had a lot of catching up to do. Luckily, I got my first par on hole 4, but apparently that's the last hole. I get that it's a free game, but man, 4 holes is just such a small amount. I mean, it's still a good game though. I'd be pretty happy if I got this with my meal as a kid. I also played the island one, which I was doing a lot better on. Until hole 3, where I got 14 strokes because of this stupid crab who kept hitting my ball away. Even though I'm terrible at it, it's a solid game. So while Wendy's certainly released a banger being Pets Cats, yes, it's a great game. How can you not like Mike? It wasn't their only game given out with their kids meal. 3 years later, in 2009, they had another promotion where they gave out 1 of 3 different video games in this Sports Illustrated kids series that they made. They had baseball, basketball, and soccer. I played the soccer one, and my goodness, this game is such a huge letdown after the great game that Pets Cats was. Literally, like, this game isn't even soccer. The only game mode that comes close to soccer is this one where you get to shoot a bunch of penalty kicks, but it's pretty much just Simon Says. Like, you're not even playing soccer. They also had this matching game and this organization recycling game. Yeah, so fun. So yeah, this game was definitely a huge letdown by Wendy's. I don't see how they can go from giving out Pets Cats to this garbage, but the good news is the next one is definitely not a letdown, and that is Pizza Hut.
No one out pizzas the Hut.
Okay, so this one is technically not a kids meal toy because, you know, Pizza Hut doesn't even have a kids meal. But in 1999, Pizza Hut had a promotion where if you bought a $10 large one-topping pizza, you would get a demo disc for the PlayStation. Yeah, talk about a legendary collab. There were 2 different demo discs that you could get with your pizza. Disc 1 had Crash Team Racing, Ape Escape, Final Fantasy VIII, Cool Borders, which I don't even know what that one is, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. While Disc 2 had classics like Tetris, Tomb Raider, Spyro, Gran Turismo, and Sledstorm. And this wasn't even the first time Pizza Hut teamed up with PlayStation for a release like this, because the year before, they did the same thing and gave out another PS1 demo disc with even more classics. This is definitely one of the best promotions a fast food chain did with a video game company. Like, probably ever. It wasn't just about marketing. This promotion, like, proved that demo discs worked, because this was a trend that continued for years since it allowed people to test out major titles before spending any money. Although there's no real way to tell the exact numbers, I'm sure PlayStation saw a lot of new sales for the full version of these games due to this promotion, and Pizza Hut probably had more people buying pizzas just so they could play some PlayStation games for free. I mean, it was a win-win for both companies, a perfect collab. I really wish PlayStation would do this again for the PS5, but since they're doing away with the disc drive and moving toward all digital, it's pretty unlikely. But yeah, this promotion was definitely one of the most well known and such a good idea. This is just great. Another one of the more infamous video game and fast food restaurant promotions was this McDonald's Happy Meal toy. It was a set of 6 Sonic the Hedgehog handheld video games. So I've been looking at a ton of these like kids meal video games, and after doing a bunch of research, it definitely seems like this one is one of the most iconic ones a restaurant gave out. While it wasn't just a game disc for console or PC, it was like technically a literal console that you could play. I never played this one, but if I got this with my Happy Meal as a kid, I would be ecstatic. Like, this is a sick kids meal toy. I can definitely see why it's so iconic. But yeah, I never actually played this one. I just figured I should mention it because it seems like it was pretty iconic and it's a really cool promotion. But not all of the McDonald's Happy Meal games were this cool, because in 2004, McDonald's did a collab with the Japanese video game franchise Metabots. In this version of the Happy Meal, you got a Metabots PC game disc that was exclusive to this McDonald's Happy Meal. Whenever I looked this game up, I have to say I was pretty excited. I had never heard of Metabots before because apparently it was a really niche RPG game, but it seems like it was pretty popular in Japan, and it even got its own anime based on the game franchise. The anime in the game looked really cool, so I had some high expectations for this McDonald's version. Okay, thinking back, I actually don't even know why I had these expectations for a literal McDonald's version of a video game, but yeah, these expectations were definitely not met. The game is a super simple 2D platformer with 10 levels. You can have 5 lives at a time, and you have to collect these gold coins to unlock the door to the next level, while dodging these little minion dudes as well as these big minion dudes. The game is extremely easy up until level 8, which is absolutely insane. I don't know why this game is so hard. It literally took me an hour to beat every level. This was the most frustrating game ever. Every time I got right to the very end, like level 8, 9, or 10, I just lost all my lives and had to restart. I don't even know how this game came into kids meal because there's no way any child could beat this game. Unless it's just me because I'm horrible at video games. Also, there are 3 other games made by Fox Kids that was part of this promotion, I think. There's a Power Rangers one, a Totally Spy ones, and the Gadgetinis one. But they're all basically identical. Like, they're just reskins of the same game but for a different franchise. So yeah, this promotion was definitely not one of the best. The next restaurant, Burger King. They took a quite a bit different approach than the rest of these fast food chain video game promotions, and it was certainly interesting. This wasn't a promotion for the Burger King Kids Meal, but with the purchase of any Burger King Value Meal, you could buy any of these 3 games for $3.99. Pocket Bike Racer, Big Bumpin', and most notably, Sneak King. These were Xbox games, and what's cool about them is that each game only has one single disc, and it works on both the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox, which I believe is the only game ever that does that. So that's pretty cool. This one was probably the most successful video game promotion that a fast food chain ever had. It significantly boosted sales, and apparently Burger King had a 40% increase during the promotion. Like, people were losing their minds because they wanted to get their hands on this Burger King game, and I think the only way you could do that was if you actually went to the restaurant and bought it there. They apparently sold 2.7 million games. I think it's most likely because of how cheap the games were sold. Also probably because of this dude I found on Reddit who has 2,706 copies of Sneak King just sitting in his house. This guy's a legend. And Sneak King is the one I'm going to be playing because it's definitely the most iconic of the 3. It also has the most unique concept, I guess you could say. You get to play as a mascot for Burger King, and you go sneaking around delivering different Burger King meals to hungry people without anyone noticing. The first map is the Sawmill. Alright, challenge 1. It's morning and you've got enormous omelet sandwiches to give away. Make 3 deliveries to the hungry folks in the sawmill and consider this breakfast mission accomplished. So yeah, you basically just go around the map and deliver food to the people that have a little hunger icon above them. You can get more points by delivering food multiple times in a row without being detected, or by waiting till they're really close to deliver it, or by hitting this bar perfectly. Each map has 20 different challenges, and you can progress through the next one by completing half of them. The challenges are actually really boring though, they're just so repetitive. Like I was saying, there's only slight differences in each of them. I'm gonna be honest, it's just a bad game. It's the same thing over and over again. After about 5 minutes of playing, I regretted even booting up the game. And the good news is people who bought this only had to pay $4 for it, I guess. And it was definitely a success for Burger King. The last restaurant, Fil A. So you know how in the beginning I said that I remember getting a video game in my Fil A meal whenever I was a kid? Well, they had a few promotions where they gave out video games as kids meals, and one of them was a set of 4 backyard sports games, which is a classic video game series. I remember playing backyard baseball back in the day on the GameCube. Man, I had such good memories from that game. However, the Fil A version is pretty bad. The one I got to play was football, and although it was miles better than the Wendy sports game, it was still really boring. The entire game from start to finish literally took me 4.5 minutes. All you have to do was just throw passes to someone before the time runs out, with each level being a different path. So yeah, not the best game. However, I'm hoping that the game I have a fond memory of actually holds up today. I'm not kidding, I've literally been trying to find this game for years, and I wasn't even sure if it was real or maybe I just dreamed it, but the other day I finally found it. It's called Reader Rabbit Thinking Adventures. What I remember from it is that you have to go around like giving presents to someone, or it's someone's birthday, and you have to go around doing a bunch of stuff for a surprise, and like it had a huge storyline, like it was crazy. So that's what I remember from it, but after I played it, my memory is definitely not accurate. It is not what I remember at all. It's basically made for 5-year-olds, but I mean, looking back now, I guess it makes sense because I was literally 5 years old when the game was given out at Fil A. It's just kind of crazy because I remember it being such a different game, but yeah, I was pretty disappointed because my memory of it was just completely off. Turns out, what felt amazing as a kid is actually just bad. But hey, at least now I know it wasn't some hidden gem. I was just 5 years old.